Welcome back to Motorsport Podcast. I'm Carrie.
And I'm Mike.
And we are here to talk about some F1 hot takes this week. So a little bit of headlines, a little bit of gossip. We'll see what it brings us.
Yeah, a little mixed bag. So one thing I want to talk about is an ongoing drama starring Kyle Larson from NASCAR and Max Verstappen.
Is there drama on Max's part? I don't think
there doesn't
Max,
appear to be, no.
I don't think Max really cares about him.
He does not seem fazed whatsoever about this.
I feel like it'd be like if a little 9-year-old karting kid challenged Max. That's how he's doing
That's exactly how he feels. I think you're right. But a couple months ago, Kyle Larson stated that he believes he is a better driver than Max Verstappen.
I read that. Delusional.
Yes. So the comments right after were, worldwide comments were mocking of Kyle Larson.
Well, yeah.
American comments are saying that they're agreeing with Kyle Larson and thinking that Max is overhyped and isn't that great, and that put toe-to-toe, Kyle Larson could beat Max Verstappen.
Yeah, so I will be the first to admit that I don't totally understand NASCAR, because the rules,
the scoring is
odd. Confusing, and I don't really they drive in that tight bunch. I just don't get it.
It's a very, very different discipline.
Yes, I feel like there are so many synergies between Indy and other series and F1.
Yep.
But NASCAR is just totally different.
Yeah.
I don't want to say there's no skill, because I don't think that's an accurate or fair statement. No. But you're driving in a big oval over and over again. So I don't think he would be able to handle any kind of high speed turns.
No. And I
or
think,
starting.
And what has reignited the reason we're talking about this is because Kyle Larson had an Indy test a few days ago.
Oh yeah, I saw the video.
And what did he do?
He crashed.
I don't know if it was the first right-hand turn or what, but he took it into the wall.
Of course he did. That was, I expected that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people expected it.
So has he doubled down? Is he just I'm still the best?
He has not made additional comments since at least I haven't seen any since his crash. But his wall incident made me really want to dive deeper and look into this, because I wanted to see when Kyle Larson originally made these comments. He said, I granted Max could beat me in an F1 car. Right, because that's his discipline.
Oh, so he wants to race him
in something else.
Okay, so he wants to drive in an oval.
So he said he's a better all-around driver.
Disagree.
So I looked into a little bit of this. I wanted to see, what he's talking about.
But how do you compare stats? Because I just feel like it's such a different discipline.
Absolutely, it is.
Okay.
So let's go by the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. So Max, obviously F1 driver, right?
Mm-hmm.
He currently has 4 world championships.
Yes.
63 wins. 113 podiums.
Okay.
40 pole positions. 33 fastest laps.
I'm actually surprised. Those last 2 stats surprised me. I thought they would have been higher. I thought he would have had more poles and more fastest laps. Anyway, continue.
So his win rate, 30% of all races.
Okay.
Pretty strong.
Lower than I thought it would be.
His podium rate, 58%.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Sorry, 53%.
Okay.
His average finishing position, 3.68.
Yeah.
So he is essentially, on average, on the podium.
Did you pull Lewis's stats? I would love to know.
I did not know.
Ah, damn. Okay.
So I would say pretty impressive.
Yeah, if you're going to bet money, it probably makes sense to put some money on him.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So let's go Kyle Larson.
Oh, Kyle.
Right? NASCAR Cup Championships. He's got one.
Is that their
That's their
world?
driver's
Okay.
championship.
Okay. Yeah.
He's got one.
Just one?
1. Race wins,
Oh no.
31. So pretty good.
Okay.
Like
But
that's
how
strong.
many races do they do in a season?
More than
Oh, okay.
it is more than, I'm not exactly sure the number. I want to say it's in the low 30s, but it is more than F1.
But they're not traveling around the world.
They're only going to the US.
Okay.
Exactly. Pole positions 21. Win rate. Here's where it drops down.
Yeah.
8.3%.
Ooh.
Average finishing position 13th.
Ooh.
So not even
You're not
in
even
the
the
top
best.
10.
Yeah.
So based on this alone,
Can I interrupt you though?
yeah.
Where does he rank as far as so he's won one world title,
Yep.
but and I don't know many NASCAR names,
Sure.
but like Dale Earnhardt Jr., like things like that.
Yeah.
Like where does he stack up against some of those?
He is not in the lead. No. If you take some other, so Jimmy Johnson is one of the top NASCAR drivers ever. 7 world drivers championships.
Yeah.
So 7. So he is not even in the conversation of being the best NASCAR driver.
Right.
So it's not like saying it's, Lewis versus Max.
Right.
It's I don't want to say a Lance versus a Max, but a sub-tier driver, right? Is he?
Well, we're not
doing
going to call him
now?
a sub-tier driver because
But
he's
not the best.
No, like I think it would be interesting. So why did he drive the Indy car?
I think so. He has branched out into other
Like motorsports?
Okay. And I think he wants to do more Indy.
He wants to move away from the oval,
Probably.
add in some turns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what I do think is interesting is when you compare F1 to NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
So the two are motorsport giants, but they are on completely different scales. So we're going to look at US numbers, okay? Because let's compare as close comparison as possible.
Sorry, when you're saying numbers, like what are we talking?
We're going to talk viewership and attendees, okay? So NASCAR is the big deal in the US, and the biggest race of the year is the Daytona 500.
Okay.
I want you to guess what the average in-person attendance is at the Daytona 500.
Like 100,000?
You are exactly right, yes.
Okay.
100,000 attendees. Limited by the stadium because it's an oval.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let's look at Austin. F1 last year. How many attendees do you think were there over the weekend?
I'm going to go 400,000.
Almost 440. Yeah.
Okay.
So even in that space, F1 way more.
Sorry, and that we were talking about Daytona. So like, okay.
Yeah, because Daytona
is one of their bigger ones.
It is. No, it's not. It's by far the biggest.
Oh, okay.
By a long shot.
Okay.
The largest in viewership and attendance. If we look at viewership, so people watch it on TV.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest here's where NASCAR gets a big jump.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you think the peak viewership is on TV for the Daytona 500?
I'm going to guess 10 million.
Almost. It's about 9 million.
Okay.
So significant, right? That is a great viewership. The F1 US, this is US only, viewership for Miami Grand Prix last year. What do you think?
So sorry, just US?
Just the US.
I'm going to say 5 million.
Not quite. 3.6.
Okay.
Which, granted, Daytona's bigger, right? But this is a race that has been held for 3 years.
Is Miami
4 years, maybe 4 years. So relatively new. And the US is an emerging market for Formula One, right? Now I want you to guess.
Well, and can I, so also too, like because F1 is harder to watch also. Like it's harder to find, like NASCAR is on regular TV, like and you can easily stumble across like a NASCAR race on a weekend. like an F1 race, you have to seek that out more.
Yeah.
So like that actually is probably a more impressive number.
Yeah, their television rights are definitely a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
Now I want to compare worldwide. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Monaco last year, what do you think the worldwide viewership was of the Monaco Grand Prix in 2024?
I'm gonna guess 100 million.
Almost 70 million.
It's pretty high.
So even if Kyle Larson is the best NASCAR driver right now, he is doing it on a scale that is a fraction of F1.
Yeah.
Right? I would much rather be the number one driver to a sport that's being showcased to 70 million people than to one at its peak is 9 million people.
Can I also interrupt for a second?
Mm-hmm.
So this weekend is the Kentucky Derby.
Yep.
Which is, like the pinnacle of horse racing. Guess how many viewers they had last year?
I'm going to go with 200 million.
No, that's insane. It was 20.1 million.
I 10x'd it.
So I just feel like it's, like NASCAR is just, I won't take it. It's big, but it's not F1 big.
It is big, but when I started looking into the stats of NASCAR, it is shrinking isn't the right word because it's basically just stagnant. Whereas F1 in the US has grown significantly, on average about 10% a year. So, I mean, it is a pretty strong growth rate for F1 in the US, whereas NASCAR, it's just sitting at the exact same level it has been for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Like, I feel like that's a little more niche.
Yeah. I find it funny that you were talking about the Kentucky Derby because Kyle Busch, another NASCAR driver, very recently said he compares F1 to the Kentucky Derby.
Oh my God.
Yes. He said it's all girls in fancy hats and pretty dresses.
Right.
And it gives, to quote him, princess vibes.
Oh, yes.
Which he says NASCAR is about passion, not pageantry.
Okay.
And he prefers the grit of NASCAR.
So then we're saying like it's more like a barrel race, like at a rodeo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I'd rather be at the Derby.
Right. That's the way I see it as well. Now, Kyle Larson has said, and those...
Wait, sorry, I got to say something though.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, okay, so like, yeah, Monaco, you've got people on yachts and stuff like that. But then I'm just thinking of the people sitting at Spa in the rain on the hill.
Yeah.
With like ponchos over them. Like there is nothing fancy about that.
And what's interesting about that is we know that F1 is very happy to drive in the rain.
Yes.
Do you know who's not very happy to drive in the rain?
It's NASCAR.
It's NASCAR.
Well, because they're all bunched up. Like I feel like you would just...
It would be even more carnage, right? They would...
Did they change tires? Well, they changed tires, right?
They changed tires for the race.
But do they have different compounds?
But I don't believe they have different compounds. Okay. It's the same tire all around. I find it funny that they go through this. Now, a lot of the supporters of the Kyle Larson comment were saying, "Oh, it's not just NASCAR that he's good at."
Okay, what is he good at?
You know, he's good on the dirt. And I thought, well, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
So Kyle
like driving
Larson,
a dune buggy?
Yes.
Oh no.
He has won the Chili Cup.
Oh, what's that?
It is essentially riding a dune buggy on a dirt track in an oval.
Where is it?
It's in Oklahoma.
Of course it is.
And attendance of 15,000 fans.
Oh.
But he has won it, I think it was 4 times. So
good for you,
know
buddy.
what? He's got that under his belt.
He must have that trophy displayed loud and proud.
You know he does. You know he
does. Oh,
does.
no.
Yeah, so he's really got that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't want to hate on Kyle Larson the whole time because we might get some NASCAR fans coming at us pretty aggressively.
Did you look up his annual salary?
I did not know.
Guess.
10 million.
8.
Oh.
Compared to Max's 55 with earning potential up to 65 million. So do we think he's just trying to get some notoriety and
quite possibly
like
now one thing that I think he might be going for, Hendrick Motorsport, which Kyle Larson drives for, in 2023 put a car into the 24 Hour of Le Mans.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
How'd that go?
So this isn't the first time a NASCAR has gone into Le Mans.
Okay.
Last time was in, I want to say it was 78.
Okay.
And they got 10 laps when apparently the car kaput. So this year, their goal was essentially to finish.
Was it like a Ford engine?
Might have been. So this is a Chevy engine. But they didn't mess around. So driving this, they had the 2009 F1 World Champion, Jenson Button.
Oh, okay.
Yes. They had Jimmy Johnson, the 7-time NASCAR champion.
Okay.
And they had Mike Rockenfeller, who is the 2010 Le Mans winner and is a current endurance driver.
Okay, so you've got some good drivers there.
Solid drivers. Yeah. And they finished the race.
What place?
Well, that's not important.
No?
I believe it was 38th.
So the goal is just to finish.
Their goal was to finish. Okay. Now, to give them some kudos, they entered in the GTE category of Le Mans, because there's various categories of it. And they were, up until about halfway, leading the GTE class.
Oh, okay.
At that point, their engine, I'm not sure which part it was, they had a massive failure.
Okay.
And they had to basically swap out a large component.
Okay.
When they spent, I think it was something like an hour and a half in the pit.
Okay. That's unfortunate.
And after that, they had to change classes because the GTE doesn't allow for that much, essentially,
interference or swap. Okay.
Repair.
Okay.
So they had to go into the outside the spec series, but they did manage to replace the part and were able to continue and finish the race, which was their end goal.
So is he trying to get into Le Mans?
Well, so this is what I'm saying is perhaps he's hoping that Hendrick is like, you know what? We'll put you into Le Mans for 2025, 2026, something like that.
Yeah.
Which Max has stated he is interested in competing in other series.
Yeah, I think that's down the road, though.
Yeah. Maybe he gets he's going for a 5th world championship this year. If he doesn't get it, maybe his contract opens up. Mm-hmm. He switches teams, perhaps. He has more time to do passion projects. Such as, endurance racing.
Crochet.
He might. Yeah. But I think we could see in the future a competition here where we have Kyle Larson versus Max Verstappen in some type of endurance race.
So speaking of Max, he had his baby yesterday.
Yep.
Which, exciting. Congratulations, Max.
And Kelly.
Her name's Lily. Pretty name. I do love that. I feel like it was like a scheduled C-section, and he scheduled it for media day, which is... I enjoy that level of pettiness. It's enjoyable.
I mean, Max has been less than talkative
recently.
Yeah, in media appearances.
Did you see that the F1 has signed a 10-year extension for the Miami Grand Prix?
Oh, no.
So it keeps it on the calendar through 2041.
Oh, wow. That's some commitment right there.
I feel like we're going to have to go.
Absolutely.
At some point. That is one of the ones I'd like to go to. Have you seen some of the liveries?
I mean,
discuss.
I saw Ferraris. Did
you see the suits that Mercedes is wearing too?
I mean, the suits that Mercedes is wearing are odd. And I'm confused by the color.
Because I want to be like, have you ever been? I know they've been to Miami, but it's like, have you ever been to Miami? Do you have eyes?
Yeah. Like, it does not suit at all.
Like, none of this speaks Miami.
No.
Like, I love when they do... in Mexico, when they do the merch that's like very Dia de Muertos, the Day of the Dead, for those that don't speak Espanol. But I just feel like some of these other ones make sense, and this, like the Miami stuff I've seen, has not made any sense.
No. I don't know if it's like a maroon
It's like a maroon.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how that corresponds to Miami at all.
No. And then Ferrari going back with some blue.
Have you seen like the references to like Colgate?
Yeah.
How it looks like a tube of toothpaste.
Yeah. Oh, they're paying tribute to an old Williams car.
Like, it just doesn't make sense.
No, the people that design the liveries for Ferrari need to step their game up. I think when you compare theirs to some of the other teams when they do special liveries,
yeah,
like Red Bull in Japan, or Racing Bulls in Miami this year, I think it's a hot pink.
Yeah, like that makes sense.
Do something that matches where you are.
Yeah, not just this nonsense. Did you see that Daniel Ricciardo has launched a new lifestyle brand, Enchanté?
This isn't new.
With Racing Bulls?
This isn't new. He's had Enchanté for a few years, but the exciting thing is he has now partnered with Racing Bulls and F1 Academy, I believe.
Okay, well, whatever.
Enchanté has been around, girl.
I thought he had something else. I can't remember what it was called, though.
I don't know.
Yesterday was the anniversary of Ayrton Senna's death.
Was it really?
Yeah, May 1st.
Oh.
For those of you that don't know, we have a hamster named Ayrton Senna. Our 8-year-old named him after the race car driver. I guess legend.
The legend, yeah.
He's little and fast.
And bitey.
He's scrappy.
There's renewed talk about Checo.
Oh, I know. I was just thinking about that.
Going into Cadillac.
I hope it doesn't happen.
You know what I'm hoping for now? Is a Kyle Larson into the Cadillac.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? He'd be worse than Logie. He'd crash all the time.
I want to see it happen.
I don't, because I think he needs to stay in NASCAR where he belongs. Yeah. I think we need to have some good drivers. But did you see that one of Franco Colapinto's sponsors said that he was going to be driving at Monza?
Imola.
Oh, Imola. Sorry, I thought it was Monza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Renewing the rumors that Doohan might be.
But Doohan did well in the last race. I guess we'll have to see what happens here. But it's like, don't sign a rookie then if you're not going to give them a chance to like actually settle in and race.
Yeah.
Because he was their reserve driver or whatever, and did their sim stuff, but like he's still a rookie.
Yeah.
Like, give him a chance to actually like prove himself. I just feel like that needs to change in the sport.
Do you think the rookies deserve a little bit more time than some of them have been given?
Yeah, like don't sign them if you don't like. I think Toto's approach to Kimi is the right one. Like, they have no expectations for Kimi. It is like, just try not to crash the car every weekend.
If I'm being honest, I think Toto has made Kimi his number one driver.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think George has already just been taken a back seat.
Which is so sad because like George is having such an amazing year.
He really is.
And it's funny because like George was like the golden boy, and he, Toto was like, oh, George, you're going to win world titles. But also, did you see delusional George and his statement about like how he joined Mercedes a few years earlier? He'd be at least a 2-time world champion.
Yeah.
I want to like George.
And then he says stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, George, come on.
Right.
Like, you just make yourself not likable.
On it. Like, yeah, I was so disappointed when I read that. As you said, we try so hard to like him.
Yeah.
And he
makes it really hard.
He makes it hard.
Yeah. It's like when he pats himself on the back with like a nice, like,
oh, that was a new one.
Yeah, like it's just like, oh, George, come on.
I know. Yeah, it's tough to like him. It really is.
Yeah. So did you see that the FIA made a rule change that is coming? Like, they only just made it for Miami, but it's after the Australian Grand Prix where there was a safety car. Ollie Behrman was like down a lap, and so like he could have unlapped himself, but instead Haas pitted him and then basically like re-lapped himself, but like entered ahead of Max, So it was kind of like, I don't want to say cheated, but like kind of like allowed the cheating to happen, if that makes sense.
So did he unlap himself or no?
So they pitted him.
Yeah.
And then he emerged from the pit lane among the leading cars in front of Max, who was running third behind Lando and Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was subsequently allowed to re-unlap himself.
Oh.
So the FIA has made a change to Article 55.14. And it says the new rule with the change in italics has been made to allow race control and race directors the power to close the pit exit when the safety car train is passing by to block a back marker from rejoining the leading cars. So it makes sense. I think they do need to tighten up kind of the rules around that. I know there's been other incidences, but you know, like when Lewis, 2021, like it does seem like there is a lack of clarity around there,
well,
and
just a lack of consistency.
Yeah, consistency.
Right?
I guess
I think that's the problem. Is if you're gonna have a rule, like make a decision on what the rule is and stick with it.
Yeah,
and I think that was the massive controversy. You know, is you've got a rule, you've gone away from the rule, now you implement half the rule.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
Yeah. Like follow the rules.
Follow the rules.
Yeah. The FIA is also considering raising the pit lane speed at a select few F1 races to spice up the strategy.
Interesting.
So they are looking at increasing the pit lane speed limit to 80 kilometers an hour in the Netherlands and Singapore.
Oh.
Yeah. So currently it's at 60 kilometers per hour. So like, I mean, that's substantial.
Yeah.
So it's geared at enticing them into different strategies.
Right. Now, is there anything about what they're going to do to Monaco?
No. I feel like everyone's so afraid to touch Monaco, and it's like I mean, I would love to live in Monaco. It's a beautiful place. Like I love the history, and I think, like I've said it before, it's like the Kentucky Derby, right? Like it's that race that they all want to win.
Yes.
Because it just has that like prestige to it. But it's not that exciting to watch other than like from a scenery perspective. But it's really all in quality. So like, or unless something like crazy happens, like how they qualify is essentially almost how they're going to finish.
Yeah, basically.
Like other than the one year that Valtteri's tire didn't come off.
Right.
Like things like that happen where it's just, you know, that alters the race obviously, but yeah, they need to do something there.
We'll see. But
there's actually like a few races on the calendar where like it just seems like passing is not really possible. Yeah, like I think they do need to examine that in some tracks where it's just
not possible. I think they need to look at the count of overtakes.
Yeah.
And see what comes out. Not to say that there should be a minimum, but
it should be able to, like, you should be able to like overtake at some point.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's just boring, and it's all depending on like pit strategy or like hoping for someone to crash, which is like terrible.
Yeah. And if you're not getting any weather, and if it's not a street circuit, probably isn't going to happen.
Yeah, and like think about how slowly they drive in Monaco too.
I think that's the most frustrating thing, you know, is that they can go so much faster.
Yeah. Except for on that hairpin. That hairpin's intense. Did you see that video on the hairpin where it's just like a normal like Tuesday and Charles driving and he rear ends somebody?
No.
And they're going so slow and he just like rear ends somebody and it's like, Charles, what are
you doing?
How is that even possible?
Can I ask what kind of a car he's driving?
I think he's driving a Ferrari.
I would expect nothing less.
You need to like look it up. It's funny. And it's just like it I don't know how it happens. Like it's like he's like stopped and then he just drives into the back of them. Like, oh, Charles.
How embarrassing.
Right? Like at least if I rear end somebody, I'm not the best driver in the world, better than Nicholas Latifi, but like You're one of the best drivers in the world. Like, don't rear end people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's pulling a Lance Stroll.
He is pulling a Lance. Poor Lance. Although he's delusional too. Like, I don't know. It just, he makes the most disappointing statements.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it for me.
Did you see that, like, Lando acknowledged he needs to stop being
a whiny baby?
I was going to say titty baby. And then I stopped, but then you said whiny baby. So I think has recognized he needs to, like, change his approach. And basically he's like, I gotta stop. Like, I am trying to be a perfectionist. It is making things worse. It is making me the opposite of what I'm striving to be. So I'm interested to see. I think we'll see a different side of Lando because, like, this is where he won last year. So I'm interested to see what happens. I think there's going to be a serious battle between Oscar and Lando in quali. Really excited to watch that. I'm excited. It's going to be a busy weekend. Like, tomorrow's the Derby, Kentucky Derby.
Sure.
We've got quali.
Yeah.
We've got the race. It's a whole lot going on.
Jam-packed with racing.
It is jam-packed with racing. I saw this thing where it was like, it was a video and it was just like someone trying to, like, make plans with somebody during, like,
race weekend.
F1 season.
Yes.
It's like, I am busy all of these days.
Yeah. It's like, well, I've got quali here. I got FP1, FP2, FP3. Let alone a sprint weekend, man.
Yeah, right.
It's impossible.
Yeah, so it's a big weekend for racing. And we will be back on probably Tuesday with a recap of the Miami Grand Prix.
All right, we'll talk to you then, folks.
Okay, well, thank you for listening to this week's episode of Motorsport Podcast. Bye. Motorsport Podcast is a Vorbeck Media production. Follow us on Instagram at Motorsport Pod. You can listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or our YouTube page, Motorsport Pod. Bye.